Who are all these giants on the earth? Today we're going to start off with our worksheet. Draw a red box on earth under the pre-flood section beside the green box. Now to explain what people group will be represented by this red box. The reference of mankind becoming evil and corrupt is in Genesis 6:6. No, yeah, only 6 chapters into the Bible and the world's gone to pot. This verse goes like this. So the Lord was sorry he had ever made them and put them on the earth. It broke his heart. Have you ever thought about God crying? We often see God in our mind as powerful, controlling person, when really he's nothing but pure love. God did not cause all the evil upon the earth. It is that human race which brought about this corruption. This corruption seems to have happened very quickly, but we have to remember this is a 1600-year span of time. So let's identify the people group in the red box. It starts with Cain. In Genesis 4:3-5, and in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought an offering of fruit of the ground to the Lord. Abel also brought the firstborn of his flock and of their fat. And the Lord respected Abel and his offering, but he did not respect Cain and his offering. And Cain was very angry, and his countenance fell. Look at the first part of that verse, in the process of time. This tells me that in the past, Cain had brought the correct offering, but this time, Cain brought an offering unto God that was different. The offering was of fruit. God does not accept Cain's offering, and Cain develops an attitude, or maybe had the attitude when he presented his offering. Are you wondering why God didn't accept Cain's sacrifice? For a long time, I did too. Hebrews 9:22 gives us the clue. And almost all things are by the law purged with blood, and without shedding of blood is no remission. It's the shedding of the blood that covers sin. Remember when Adam and Eve first ate the apple, they realized they were naked? The verse goes like this. Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they knew they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves a covering. They looked at each other and realized they were naked and needed to cover themselves, like God had not already seen them naked before. They felt the guilt of sin and made clothes out of fig leaves to somehow cover their nakedness. So who told them they were naked? Nobody. Because they ate the apple, they then had the knowledge of good and evil. Before, all they knew was good. Then 14 verses later, in the same chapter of Genesis, we read, also for Adam and his wife, the Lord God made tunics of skin and clothed them. So why did God make them different clothes? They already had an outfit. The making of the clothes for Adam and Eve was when the blood was shed. I think God imparted to Adam at this time the procedure and requirements for sacrifices while he made the clothes from the animal skins for them to wear. Explaining to him it was the blood shed by the animal that covered the sins committed of eating the apple. Adam and Eve both confessed their sins. Many times we look at it as passing the buck from one person to the next or casting blame on each other. But it was a confession to God. But just as today, the sin is forgiven, but Adam and Eve must suffer the consequences of their sin. Therefore, they were removed from the garden. Back to Cain. Cain knew he was to bring an offering, and Cain chose not to obey and brought an offering that he thought would be good. Note to me, myself. Don't try to think for God or change the rules. As we read through Genesis chapter 4, we do not see Cain repenting or presenting the wrong offering. Instead, he became angry and killed his brother. But Cain is not the only one who has committed sin during this pre-time period. A couple of other scriptures which provide evidence of this evil, which develops from Cain's line of descendants, are 1 John 3:12, which tells us not to be like Cain because what Cain did was evil and he belongs to the evil one. And Jude 11 gives a bigger warning not to follow Cain's way with a woe to them. As we read on in Genesis 4 and 5, the descendants of Cain appear to be growing more and more wicked. And it's not only Cain's descendants who are becoming evil. And for sure, it was not only the humans God had created that are becoming more evil on the earth. An event has occurred which causes God to limit the days of man to 1,200 years and limits his desire to live among his creation. Genesis 6:1-2. Now it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and the daughters were born to them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves, all of whom they chose. In verse 4, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, they bore children to them. The same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. Oh my, giants, what happened? It appears Satan has tried to create his own race of beings. Scholars have at least 3 views on this, and it seems the term sons of God is the issue debated. First view, the sons of God were godly members of the line of Seth, marrying women from ungodly line of Cain. The second view is they were men in positions of higher authority. Examples might be major gang leaders, rulers, or dictators of the time period. Last view for the sons of God were fallen angels. This last view makes the most sense to me, so let's look a little bit closer. There's a verse in Matthew that leads me in this direction. For when the dead rise, they will neither marry nor be given in marriage. In this respect, they will be like the angels in heaven. This verse declares that the resurrection people will neither marry nor be given in marriage. They will be like the angels in heaven. It doesn't say they're not able to marry. Maybe God doesn't want them to marry. And some angels chose to disobey God's wishes. Because God's holy angels do not marry or engage in sexual relationship, doesn't mean the same is true for Satan and his fallen angels. For an Old Testament reference, read Genesis 19:1-5 sometimes. The men of Sodom and Gomorrah wanted to have sex with the 2 angels who were with Lot. It's quite possible that angels are capable of taking on human form, even to the point of replicating human sexuality and even reproduction. Jude 6 tells us, and I remind you of the angels who did not stay within the limits of authority God gave them, but left the place where they belonged. God has kept them securely chained in prisons of darkness, waiting for the great day of judgment. Could it be, by not staying in their position of authority, taking on human form, God has imprisoned the fallen angels who committed this evil sin of taking earthly women as their wives, imprisoning them so that the other angels would not do the same? This same problem existed for a period of time even after the flood. Let's look at Genesis 6:4 again. See it? And for some time after. Remember Goliath, who David had to fight? And Goliath had 4 brothers. Sometimes I wonder if that's why David picked up 5 stones out of the brook to put in his shepherd bag. Now that's a thought. Let's make a note of these angels on our worksheet. Let's draw a box in shawl and we will color it purple. Or you can pick another color if you like. I'll also place the letter A inside the box for the angels. So, who are the giants on the earth? It seems Satan's angels thought the women of the earth were beautiful and wanted to take them as their wives. And when the offspring were born, they grew up and they were giants. So this completes session 2, and we should have a feeling for the two people groups on earth before the flood takes place. The green box, who represents the righteous, the red box, who are the unrighteous. Also, we discovered fallen angels had a home, and Satan is going to be a problem. A problem from here until the end of the tribulation, where he's bound for 1,000 years. And even then, at the end of the 1,000 years, he will be released for a short period of time in which he tries to cause havoc again. Until next time, shalom.